So I want to start right now with the Delta variant and those breakthrough infections. Without real tracking, do we really have an idea of how many fully vaccinated people are actually getting sick?
Yeah, so that is a little bit of the criticism is, are we doing as good a job of tracking, of getting the information as people would like? Because, this is sort of getting blown up with the concept, and a lot of people worry, do the vaccines still work? And every time you hear a vaccinated person get infected, a lot of people who've been vaccinated ask, could this happen to me? I felt like I'm doing all the right things. So I think it's important that we put this in perspective. The vaccines continue to be incredibly effective at protecting you from death. And I like to use the numbers. If you're unvaccinated, your general chance of dying, your case fatality rate is about 1 in 50. We, with almost 200 million people vaccinated, we're only seeing 1 or 200 deaths in vaccinated individuals. That puts that number about 1 in a million. So the vaccine takes you from 1 in 50 to 1 in a million. What about ending up in the hospital? Instead of 1 in 5, it looks like maybe it's 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 1,000. What's your chance of getting infected? If you look across the country and you hear 100,000 new cases just in a day, only about 1 or 2% of those are unvaccinated people, and they're very rarely ending up in the hospital. They're not dying. The vaccines continue to be super effective at preventing death, hospitalization, and it does look like it does drop your risk of even getting a mild or asymptomatic case.
Now, what about reinfection? Those people who recovered from COVID and say, you know what, I have antibodies. Is that enough protection, those antibodies that you would get from having a natural infection?
Well, that is obviously a hot and emotional topic, right? Even on the congressional floor, I guess. There's been some exchanges. And one of the recent studies that came out was really asking the question, should these people get vaccinated? Is it really much of a benefit? And actually, it was pretty impressive. If you choose to rely on your natural immunity versus getting a vaccine once you've had COVID before, you are more than twice as likely to end up getting COVID. So we have consistent information that vaccines are better than natural infection. And if you've had natural infection, you really do get additional benefit from that vaccine. And not just one, but 2 doses of a 2-dose series. So we do recommend vaccination for everyone.
All right, now what about these booster shots? Obviously, we were just saying, Friday we're expecting them to meet and talk about this. But do you think that we're going to be looking at booster shots in our future?
So yes, I mean, I think that the wheels are rolling. The plan is for booster shots in the United States. It's already happening in other countries. The questions are when, and the question is how do we balance this with equity, right? There's a lot of people, including under the age of 12, who haven't even gotten their first shot here in the U.S. Lots of people throughout the world. What are people doing getting thirds when I haven't had first, right? We've all had the big family dinner. What are you doing? There is a little bit of evidence, and it's not quite there, and that's why it hasn't happened yet. We're trying to understand who might benefit from boosters, what's the science, what's the extra protection. And I do like to point out, those people who may not have responded well to vaccines can still get the monoclonal antibodies. If they get infected, they can also get the monoclonal antibodies now after a significant exposure for prevention. And that gives them for 3 months those protective antibodies that they were having trouble generating with the 2 shots of the vaccine.